Well, the South African National Energy Association is set to launch its South African Energy Skills Roadmap tomorrow. The initiative is in partnership with the Wits University's Centre for Researching Education and Labour, African Energy Leadership Centre, as well as the South African BRICS Business Council. The aim is to promote the just energy transition. South Africa is trying to find solutions to deal with the ongoing energy crisis. Key stakeholders across the broader energy sector have emerged with a plan to ensure that the requisite human capacity exists to deliver the technical energy solutions. Let's take this discussion further then. We are now joined via Zoom by Wendy Poulton. A very good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us.
You're most welcome. Let's talk about what South Africa's energy skills roadmap looks like, according to you, and where you see it at the moment.
What we did with the roadmap is that we understood that there's a lot of work already going on in South Africa. So that's the point at which we started.
Yeah.
But I think what we found was that the work is very focused on narrow technical areas, and we wanted to try and make it broader, because implementing energy solutions and addressing the just energy transition and the crisis that we're sitting in at the moment requires not only energy skills, but also skills for an enabling environment for the energy system to operate in, such as financial skills and procurement skills and socio-economic skills. So we've tried to take a very broad approach. We've also tried to take an integrated approach to look at all of those skills, and a longer term approach. So how are these skills going to be changed over time?
Yeah.
Because as we just heard from your previous session, we need to get basic education and that pipeline of skills going so that we have enough people to meet all the needs in South Africa for the just energy transition.
Yeah, and we talk about just energy transition. I mean, what does that mean exactly? How does it assist ordinary South Africans in the energy crisis we're currently facing? And I mean, from where I'm standing, I understand it as being, not wanting to leave people behind. And of course, there's a large group, a large majority of people who, are not living as they should in our country. How does that relate, and how does that help them?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've looked at in the roadmap is where there is a co-location of education providers together with the areas in the country where we're seeing changes in the energy system, so that we get the geographic spread of helping people, not only new people entering the energy sector, but also those people that are already in the energy sector that may require to be retrained or reallocated. So we've really tried to make sure that we look at those issues as well, and that, as you said, not leaving anybody behind is such a critical element. But that's got to be unpacked. You've got to look at it both from a supply and demand of skills, as well as what the community needs and expectations are.
Yeah, and we understand that this report is supported by BRICS Business Council in South Africa. What exactly is, their involvement, and does that also mean that, we may see more BRICS members partnering with South Africa when it comes to this energy sector and energy solutions?
Well, the BRICS Business Council has a skills working group that is doing a number of skills roadmaps. And they really focused also on looking at this longer term and putting a developing country spin on it, because our needs are different to developed countries. And we have different skill sets that are required as a result. So what we're going to be doing is showing these roadmaps to other BRICS members, as South Africa is the chair this year, as you know, and helping them understand, where do we have commonalities, where could we jointly produce curricula or do research into what skills are required, exchange programs, things like that. So those are the discussions that we're going to be having over the next year in the Energy and Green Economy Working Group of the BRICS Business Council.
And how would this just energy transition, when it does happen, sort of, change or alter what is perceived to be, South Africa's over-reliance on coal and the coal industry. And I also want to talk about, this also talks to jobs. It's not just about electricity, jobs that are linked to, the coal industry. How does that all translate? Is that all being looked at?
So we took a very broad scope, and we looked at, as I said earlier, the electricity sector, but also other sectors that are coupled to it. So like, for example, the transport sector. So that's existing, but also longer term in terms of electric vehicles coming in. And we also looked at what are some of the mining jobs, and jobs in the oil and gas sector as well, in the longer term that could be at risk. And then, the report has made a whole lot of recommendations as to what the gaps are and what we need to do going forward to try and close some of those gaps. Yeah. Because in some cases we just don't have the data to be able to make definitive conclusions, but we have tried to do that where we can.
All right. Wendy, we appreciate your time. Thanks very much for speaking to us. Wendy Poulton is the Director of Strategic Mindsets, who are finding solutions to South Africa's energy crisis.